Alright guys, welcome back to another reloading video. So we are going to get started on the load development for the 142 grain Sierra Match King. I am looking forward to this bullet. I've had it for a while. I've kind of veered off to 223 and we'll get back to that as well. But my Criterion barrel has definitely loved the 140 grain and up bullet so far. Now, I haven't tried a lot of the lower bullets. I've only gone to 120 grain, which was the 120 grain SMK, Sierra Match King. And I got consistent 3/4 inch groups, but every other bullet I've shot out of the Criterion, I have hovered pretty much 1/2 inch or under, for final load. So, definitely Criterion. And I think 6.5 anyways, 6.5 Creedmoor is built around, well, I don't think, I know the 6.5 Creedmoor was built around the, I think it was the 143 grain ELDX, or 140 grain ELDM. So that's what Hornady says, at least. They're the one that made the cartridge, so I believe them. And sure enough, with my Criterion match barrel, 6.5 Creedmoor, it is loving 140 grain and up. Now, the highest I've gone is I think the 143 grain ELDX. Let me double check. So yeah, ELDM was 140 grain, ELDX was 143 grain. The Barnes Match Burner was my most accurate bullet in this barrel so far, and that was a 140 grain. And so yeah, I haven't tried too many of the light bullets. I've only gone to 120 grain, and it was a good shooter, but I've noticed the 140s are definitely more accurate. So we are doing the 142, and I am definitely expecting some great things. Now, the last place we left off on this bullet, I did do a quick video of the pressure test. I was just trying to find pressure on this, which I do on every new bullet, but I was just trying to find pressure on this bullet as quick as I can. And how I do that is like the last video I showed you guys. I figured I'd take you along for the ride on how I do that. But I just load one bullet each charge weight, and I kind of start towards the top. Now, disclaimer, I recommend everybody, as well as me, I always pretty much stay from, bottom of the load, work my way up. Recommend that for everyone to do that. Because another reason for doing that is because there's always a decent accuracy node at the beginning of the charge weights as well. So I like to hit all of the accuracy nodes for a new bullet. So yeah, so that's how I do a pressure test. I kind of start mid to top of the loading manual, or the loading of the charges, and I do one bullet each and just go all the way up past books max. That way I can find pressure, because I want to know where pressure was. Now, pressure test I did with this bullet, I never ended up finding pressure, which, to be all honest, with this Criterion barrel, in all the bullets I have shot through this gun, I have yet to find any pressure signs. Now, I could go a lot further, and absolutely eventually you're going to find pressure, but you do get to a certain point where it's kind of pointless to go any further. And another thing you need to be careful about with doing this is, a lot of shooters will say, and I've heard it from a lot of people on YouTube, sometimes you don't find pressure until it's actually not too late, but until it's getting very dangerous. So that's why I end up stopping, once I'm quite a ways past max. So I use Sierra's max, because Sierra's was quite a bit higher than Hornady's. Hornady's max was 41.5 grains. Sierra's max was like 42 grains. So on the pressure, like you guys saw in the last video, 6.5 Creedmoor video, the pressure test ended at 42.4. So I started off at 41 grains, one bullet each, from 41 to 42.4, and I still did not find max. Now, another thing, guys, I ordered a chronograph. It is shipping to me. It should be here actually very shortly. I got the Caldwell chronograph. I heard actually decent things about it. Read a lot of reviews, and I ended up ordering it from Midway. Got a decent deal on it, and the only thing I see on that is you got to be careful about too much sunlight, I guess, is basically the only bad thing I see in the reviews. So, other than that, it looks like a decently accurate chronograph, and that's all I'm looking for. I eventually would like to get the V3 magneto speed, but I'm not worried about it right now. I'm just, like I said to you guys many times, I'm just a backyard shooter, so I want to know what my SDs are, my velocities, and I know you guys want to know that as well. So yeah, that's coming, which is really good, and I hope it should be here before I actually shoot these loads that I'm loading today, because I'm not going to be able to shoot these as soon as, because a lot of the times I reload and shoot same day, but these ones I don't think I'm going to be able to do. But either way, so that is the video for today. It's basically, we're going to be starting the load development, and where I start is powder. The powder test is going to be this video. The components for today is going to be the usual. Hodgson H4350 is going to be our powder. Primers is going to be the usual. Magnum, I've noticed in 6.5 Creedmoor, Magnum primers work a lot better, and they're very consistent. So I'm working through my back stock of CCI Magnum primers. And for brass, it's our 7-time fired SIG brass. Now, I'll tell you, a note on this SIG brass, I am very impressed with it. I am going to the 8th firing. We're on the 7th. I got 20 pieces on the 8th time firing, and I am impressed with this brass. There was some bad reviews on it, but I'll tell you, this is my second batch of it, and it is very consistent. I'm on 7 times fired, and primer pockets are still nice and tight. Brass is... It's very good brass. I am liking it quite a bit. It's very consistent brass. The head spacing from factory was really consistent, and throughout all of these reloadings, it's been very consistent. So yeah, quick note on that brass, it's very good. So I would definitely recommend the SIG brass if anybody's looking to pick up some decent brass. Now, it's probably not Leupold grade, but I'll tell you, I really like this brass, especially for the price. It's definitely 20 times better than your standard Winchester or Remington brass. It's really good. So, the load data, the charges for today is going to be, we're going to do 3-shot load development, like always. We're going to do 40 grains all the way up to 42.4 grains. Now, I watched a video recently. I think it was, let me see here. So it was West Desert Shooter. I like him. He's really good. I like all his videos. He's very good at explaining everything and reloading. Same with Johnny's Reloading Bench. Love his stuff. Actually, Johnny's the reason why I got into reloading in the first place. But I was looking at West Desert Shooter's last video, and he was using Stayball 6.5, which is similar to H4350, not exact, but he went all the way up to 43 grains with that powder. So now, I was saying to you guys, I did not find pressure with H4350 in this bullet, so I may go up just a little bit higher to 43 grains. Because if you look between H4350 and Stayball 6.5, the loads are actually pretty similar. Hornaday's was from 35.6 to 41.5, which is right around what Stayball 6.5 is anyways. So since he went up to 43 grains on that, and I ended off at 42.4 grains in my pressure test, I'm going to probably step it up to 43 grains, and I'll have the chronograph by then, and I'll be able to see what those last few charges get me. And hopefully I will actually find pressure signs. Now, if 43 grains, you know, once I shoot 43 grains and I'm still not hitting pressure signs, I'm done. I'm not going to go any further than that. So I'll probably be loading those last few pressure test loads along with this powder test video as well. So I'll be doing those along with it. And hopefully we can find pressure and then start our powder test same day. So that's basically the rundown for this video. Starting the load development, getting it kicked off, that way we can get to our seating depth test after, and then finalizing our load after that. Like I said, expecting really good results out of this 142 SMK. I'm definitely looking forward to this bullet. Now, like always, like I've told you guys, we're going to be running 20 thousandths off the lands. That's what I do for all testing other than seating depth test, obviously. So my pressure testing is 20 thousandths off the lands. My powder testing is 20 thousandths off the lands. It's just a good standard number, and a lot of bullets shoot the best right at 20 thousandths off the land. So yeah, that's the load data. Everything's 20 thousandths off the lands. We're going from 40 grains to 42.4 grains, H4350, and let's get this show on the road. Alright guys, first step in reloading for me is decapping, getting these spent primers out of the brass. This reloading video is probably most likely going to be the long format. We're starting a new bullet, so I'll show you guys my whole process of reloading like I have before. And as you guys know, I don't tumble my brass, especially with this this Criterion match barrel and this BR rifle. It's my SIG brass is that 7 times fired right there, and it looks clean as shit, inside and out. I mean, brass looks really good. So I don't tumble my, you know, unless it's an old hunting style rifle and it doesn't get a really good seal, then yeah, I may tumble for that, you know, that type of gun. But if it seals good and I'm not getting smokiness down my neck and down the body of the case, then I don't tumble my bolt action brass. And I know a lot of you guys will probably think that's crazy, but I haven't since I've started reloading. Now my ARs, obviously I tumble that because ARs are dirty as hell, and yeah, you're gonna just contaminate the crap out of your dies if you don't tumble AR brass. So first things first, get these, I use my Lee decapping die, get these spent primers out, so that way I can take an accurate headspace measurement, because sometimes you get a little bit of primer flow back, so if you put calipers on there with a spent primer in there, you'll get weird readings. So that's the first process. I'm not going to show you guys a lot of that because it's pretty freaking simple. It's just a Lee universal decapping die, and that's it. Run through all your cases and you're good to go. So I got my shell holder in, got that first one done. I'll show you guys another one real quick. Just put it in the shell holder. With the decapping die, basically all you do is run it down until it touches the shell holder, and you're basically good, because at that point the decapping pin is popping out your primer. A universal decapper is basically just a loose fitting die that can fit multiple calibers, and you're just popping out the primer. So that's it. So I'm going to run through these real quick, get all these decapped, and I'll bring you guys back for the next step. Alright guys, next, after decapping, get your calipers out. We got to get an accurate headspace measurement. Now it should be the same, because, you know, if you got a decent barrel, your headspace should come out just about the same every time. And if it's not, then your chamber's either sloppy or, you know, which, you know, some just factory rifles have a little bit looser chamber and looser tolerances. So one firing could be, you know, this headspace, and the next one could be a little bit different. It still should be, even on a loose chamber, you should be within a decent tolerance, you know, okay tolerance, but match chamber, you should be coming out, I would say, definitely within a thousandths, you know, of every case. So, get your comparator on there. I got my Hornady comparator. I recommend any new reloader, absolutely. You have to get one of these. If you don't get the Hornady OAL gauge, that's fine, but at least get the comparator body and buy the headspace gauge for every caliber you got. Now, if you don't want the little anvil that goes on this side, I didn't get it. You don't have to. It just makes it, I don't know. I just thought it was an expense that wasn't needed. So I just do it just like this, and also make sure you guys get your bullet comparator as well. The big long ones for Hornady are your headspace, measuring your headspace. The little ones are for bullet overall length comparating, CBTO. You guys will hear me say that a lot because that's basically all I use for a measurement is CBTO. Every now and then I got to use OAL, overall length, but CBTO is a better measurement and more repetitive measurement. So first things first, you want to get an accurate headspace, and headspace is basically just your base of your case to a datum line on the shoulder. It's where your case goes into your bolt, into your chamber, and your shoulder meets up with the shoulder at a certain point in your rifle. So that's basically what that is, just getting that measurement. And I recommend every new reloader doing this because you need to know your numbers. You need to know, you know, you can get a good depiction of your chamber. What you know, what all your measurements are of your chamber if you can measure all these. If you can't, then you never really know what your chamber is. So just put it in your calipers like that. Make sure everything's locked down, tight, and give it a good little spin. And you'll get your number. Hold on a second. Let me get these zeroed out. So these are reading 1.557, 5575, 558, somewhere between there, which is about normal, I'm pretty sure. It's been a while since I've reloaded for 6.5, so let me check. And that's another reason why you write down all these numbers. I write down, so on a case, I write down when the brass is brand new, I write down the web diameter, right below the shoulder diameter, and neck diameter, and headspace. So I write that all down for new brass, and I write that all down for fire formed brass. So that way you can go back into your book and tell, you know, what new brass should be. I mean, new brass, whatever. It could come to you, you know, but that way you know at least when new brass comes to you, if it's really sloppy, you know, oversized brass or undersized brass, at least you'll know that. So yeah, let me check here. So for the SIG brass coming new, the headspace was 1.554 and fire formed was 1.5565. So this one's 7.5. So yeah, it's within tolerance. So this head spacing is good to go. Now you want to check a good portion of them. Another one, 1.558. So that's within tolerance. I'm looking for them to be within, you know, a thousandths. You know, that's about normal. 1.558, 1.5575, 1.5575. Okay, so headspace very consistent all the way across. Now I'll measure these as I'm sizing them as well. That way I know I'm only bumping them 2/1000ths. Alright guys, once you know your headspace number, you guys start resizing. That's my next step, getting the resizing done on these. And for me, my reloading process, like you guys seen before, it's a two-step process. Well, 3 steps if you count the decapping, but it's a 2-step process. It's a redding body die. Now this die doesn't hit the neck at all. It just sets back your shoulder and sizes the body of the case. That's all it does. So you don't really need to lube the neck really at all. Just the body of the case, you're good to go. And then we'll get to the next step, but my next step is a Lee collet die to set my neck diameter. Because if you were to just use the redding body die, then your bullets wouldn't have the correct neck tension and would just fall into the case. So you wouldn't be able to load a projectile in there. So my first step on resizing is my redding body die, and we'll start there. Now for my resizing lube, I use Imperial sizing die wax. It's my go-to for just about everything. Plus it lasts a long time. Just put a little bit of resizing wax on the body. Not a lot. Well, it depends. If it's brand new brass, you definitely don't really need a lot. But after that, you may need a little bit more. And some dies are a little bit different than others. I noticed my Hornady dies are a really tight tolerance, so I gotta really lube those. Lee dies are tight tolerance as well, but their polish, their finish is really, really good, so I have never needed much lube on Lee dies. And redding is kind of in between. Their finish is pretty decent as well, but you definitely gotta lube it a little bit more than like Lee dies. Whatever Lee does, they do have an extremely good finish. That's one thing I will say about Lee dies. As you guys know, I like Lee dies as well. Alright, so get your case in there. Let me get a little bit more. And it should be just, or not should be, it is just sizing the body and touching the shoulder to bump. Some people call it a bumping die, a redding bumping die. So it sets back your shoulder or bumps your shoulder and does your body as well. Now I don't know what the setting is on this die. I have it locked down and should be the same, but you never know. Alright, so that's 1.558, so it did not touch shoulder, so I got to unlock it and bring her down just a little bit. Alright, so set that down a little bit. I actually didn't even have to unlock it. The Lee quick change die wasn't, or the Lee quick change, actually these are Hornady quick change bushings, wasn't all the way seated down. So ran it up through, and now it's 1.556, which good from, I'm always looking for around 1 to 2/1000ths bump. As long as it's around there, you're good to go. That way your brass isn't being worked too much. You're not setting it way back, and then as soon as you fire it, it fire forms again, you know, way out to your chamber, and then you set it way back, and then you fire form it again, and it sets way out to your, whatever your chamber is. So that's what, when people say don't work your brass too much, or trying to work your brass as least as possible, that's what they're saying. It's trying not to size your case too much, and then when you fire your case, it's going, no matter what, every time you fire your case, it's going to expand to whatever your chamber is. So that's basically what, if you're watching people, you know, say that on reloading videos, that's basically what it is just trying to work your brass as least as possible. And that's the whole reason you're taking this headspace measurement, is so you know what your chamber is. That's basically taking the measurement of your chamber, roughly, and you're bumping back the brass, sizing back the brass just a little bit, so that way it feeds into your chamber nice and smooth, but not so much that the case has to expand quite a ways before, you know, every firing. So that's basically it. So that's about 1,000. My Headspace to start was 1.5575, and I just bumped it to 1.556. So that is perfect. Alright, so let me show you one more case real quick. Get some lube. That's, like I said, with this Redding, sometimes dies you can just lube one, don't lube the next one, or sometimes you can actually not lube a couple cases and then lube again. With this Redding die, I notice I gotta lube every damn case, or you will get them stuck really quick. Alright, so Headspace on this one, 1.558. And now a 2,000 bump, or 1 to 2,000 bump, is barely just kissing the shoulder. I mean, you are just tapping the shoulder a little bit. And as you guys can see, hopefully you guys can see that. Yes, you can. Alright, 1.5565. So that's perfect. Right around 1,000 bump, and I'm happy. Alright guys, I'm going to get the rest of these sized, and we will move on to the next step. Alright guys, after you resized all your cases, and they're all looking really good, Headspace is between 1 and 2 thousandths. Now for ARs, I would recommend 4 to 5 thousandths, you know, bumping the shoulder around 4 to 5 thousandths. That's what I do at least, works great. But for bolt guns, anywhere from 1 to 2 thousandths is perfect. So after you get done sizing all your brass, next step is getting the lube off. Now I recommend 100% using alcohol, because I have just used a rag before, and you still leave some case lube on there. And the whole point of getting case lube off your brass, all of it off your brass, is because if you have any case lube on your brass while you're firing, you get higher peak bolt pressure and chamber pressure. Well, mostly bolt pressure, because the whole point of brass is to be a little bit sticky. It sticks to the chamber wall, and then cools down and, you know, shrinks just a tad inside your chamber so it can extract. Well, if you have the sizing die on there, then it's not sticking to the outer case, you know, chamber wall as much, and it gets forced back against the bolt more than normal. So it will basically boils down to more work on your chamber and more work on your bolt. You'll destroy it a lot quicker, and you'll have to replace those parts a lot quicker. So yeah, just put a little bit of alcohol in a rag. Get your brass and give it a clean. Now I clean it. You could size the case mouth first. Now if you're full length resizing, obviously this is all just one and done, but the way I do it, you could, if you're doing it my way and you're going to do a Lee collet die next to set your neck tension and your set your neck diameter, then you could do it with before you wipe all the case lube off. But because the Lee collet die, you don't need any lube on the neck because you're just squeezing the neck. The fit is a little bit looser, and then you have the collet that goes over the top of the neck and just squeezes it down to the mandrel. So yeah, it's not like a full-length sizing die mandrel where it has a lot of force going down in through the neck. So you don't need any lube on the neck for a Lee collet die, or Lee neck sizing die. Some people call it that. So I just get all the lube off before I set my neck tension or set my neck diameter, and that will be the next step. Alright, now another quick note on the lube, getting the lube off the case. If you're using like a Lee lube, which I will sometimes do, you can use just water for that because it's water soluble, whatever. So yeah, you can take it off with water with that. Some are, some other lubes are the same way as Lee's, I think. But yeah, I know Lee's is nice because you can just take it off with water. You don't need the alcohol. But so yeah, after you get done that, you basically got to start getting your neck tension set, or neck diameter set. And for that, I use, like I said to you guys a minute ago, the Lee collet die. Works really good, and that way I get a full controllable inner neck diameter for consistent bullet release, and a full length sized case. I'm just doing it in 2 steps. Alright, let me get you guys a shot here. Alright, looks good. Alright, so that's the Lee collet die, got it in the top, and let's get these sized. So basically for this, take my caliper, get it all zeroed out, get my jaws cleaned off, and about the alcohol, it's good to use alcohol to get the lube off because it evaporates really quick. That's another reason why alcohol works really good. Alright, so take a measurement of your neck. I got 2.93-ish. Now this die should be pretty much set. And I'm looking for 0.288 neck. And there you go. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. There you go. 0.288. So yeah, at a 0.288 neck, that leaves about 2 thousandths interference fit on the bullet, and I get a between 2 to 3 thousandths interference fit on my bullets. That way I get a decent, consistent release. That's all you're asking for neck tension, is you're trying to get a consistent bullet release out of the neck of the chamber, or out of the neck of the case. So this next one is 0.293. Get that sized. A Lee collet die. Basically, I run it down to the shell holder and then back it out about 2 turns. No, sorry, that's wrong. I put a case in the shell holder. Before I put the die in, I run the case up, and then I screw the die, the Lee collet die, down until it just starts hitting the neck, and then I back the case off, give it like 1/8 of a turn, run it up. If you feel it squeezing the neck, or if you don't feel it squeezing the neck, give it a little bit more turn. You do that until you start feeling it touching and squeezing the neck, and then you just start taking measurements after that. So yeah, that's how I set up my Lee collet dies. Be careful, because if you run them too far down, you'll actually start mushrooming the case and it's ruined. So you just want to be careful with that. Alright, 2.89885, 0.2885, I keep saying 2 point. So 0.2885, good. So, pretty consistent. That's why I love the Lee collet die, and it works good. Now, if you guys want to do just full length, 1-step, full length 3-size, that's fine as well. You can still control your bump with a full length 3-size. It's just you're working your brass a little bit more with a standard full length 3-size, because a standard full length 3-size, when you're pushing the case up into the die on a standard full length 3-sizing die, it undersizes the neck, and then when you're pulling it back down over the mandrel out of the die, the mandrel comes up through the neck and sizes it to spec. So you're just working the neck a little bit more. So that's why I split my full length resizing into 2 steps. Just hitting the body and just getting my neck to perfect size. Now a lot of people will do like a body size and then mandrel. They'll get a perfect mandrel die and perfectly size the inside of the mouth that way. But I get really accurate results, as you guys see. I make pretty damn accurate ammo. I love this process. A Redding body die and a Lee collet die. Alright guys, I'm going to get the rest of these neck sized, and we will move to the next step. One more quick thing on these on the Lee collet die, neck sizing die. I forgot to show you guys, which I usually do, is I'll run it up first time all the way. I'll pull it down halfway, give it a half a turn, and then run it up again. You just get a little bit better concentricity that way, is what I've always heard and tested and seen myself. You definitely get better neck consistency all the way around. So yeah, I just wanted to add that in there real quick. I'm just gonna show you guys my workflow on the last few neck sizing. Basically just run it up, twist, run it up again. Alright, so everything's neck sized, ready to go. Next process. Let me get this die all back in the box here. Alright, so next process is going to be getting your overall length to see if you need to trim. I like to do that. I do that and then chamfer and deburr all before primer, because I don't want any metal shavings getting down into the primer. So get your calipers, get them, hold on, let me get you guys all set. Alright, so get your calipers all zeroed, take a measurement. Now I am looking for my chamber, I've done the measurements and I trimmed to 1.920. So it's looking like I'm going to need to trim. 1.924, 1.9215, 1.918, so that one's good. So I'm going to go through all these, all the ones above 1.920, I'll trim, and it's looking like I'm going to need to trim. So that will be the next process. Alright guys, for my trimming process, I just use Lyman AccuTrimmer. It's an old version I've had for a long time. Just get my case in there, make sure you got the right pilot, and give it a little trim, and then give it a measurement. Yeah, 1.919, 919, 920 is what I'm looking for. That's what I trimmed to. So that is good to go. I'll show you another one real quick. Oh, by the way, I measured them all and I only ended up needing to trim 3 of them, so that's the way it works. Good enough. 919, 918.5, somewhere around there. And last case. That one got the mouth kind of choppy. There we go. That's better. Yep. 918.5, 919. All looks good. Alright guys, next step is chamfer and deburr. For that, I use my Lyman VLD chamfer tool. Just give it a, let me make sure you guys are, yeah. Just give it a couple twists on the inside of the mouth. And a couple twists on the outside. And you're done. At the same time, I hit the primer pocket as well with my primer pocket tool. Make sure the primer pocket is nice and clean. Basically all that is. It's a Lyman multi-tool. Works great. Been using it for a long time. Love it. And then after that, I just brush 3 times inside the neck with a bronze brush. And that's it. Show you another one real quick. Couple twists on the inside, chamfer. Couple twists on the outside to burr. Couple brushes with the neck. Tap out the brass. And get the primer pocket. And that's it. I'm going to run through these cases and see you guys in the next step, which will be priming. Alright guys, everything is chamfered, deburred. Primer pocket is clean and trimmed. Everything's trimmed to size. So, next step in the reloading process is primers. And that's a pretty simple, easy thing as well, but I'll show you guys real quick. So I prime on the press, like I've said to you guys many times. I like to prime on the press. It's nice. Get good feeling and positive feedback. So get my little priming cup in there and good to go. Set my primers off to the side. Alright, just put the primer in the little cup so the primer's facing up. Get my case in there and you're priming on the downstroke. Take the shell out, or take the case out and run your finger over the back. Make sure it's seated all the way. It wasn't. Now it is. So yeah, just take and run your finger over the back of the primer. Make sure it's just below flush. And you are good to go. And you have a fully primed case. Show you a couple of these. Good to go. Nice and below flush. And I'll show you one more. Yeah, this SIG brass, man, I love it. Like I said, 7th firing, and these are still taking quite a bit of effort to get the primer in. I am very impressed with this brass. Like I said, I kind of do, and then you drop primers left and right. So I kind of took a shot out of the dark, or in the dark, on these SIG cases because I kind of heard bad things or kind of mixed results. A few people in the Midway comments and Brownell comments said they were good, but a few said SIG was crappy or blah blah blah. So far, I am impressed. Like I said to you at the beginning, if I can get anything above 8 firings out of brass, I'm happy. Alright, that's priming, guys. Next step is going to be powder and then bullets. Alrighty guys, we are on the next step here, which is powder. It is powder time. So our first row of 3 is going to be 40 grains. So I'm going to cross check between my balance beam and good old Frankfurt Arsenal scale as well. Alright, so let's get started here. I'm going to show you a couple of these and then I'll get going on all of them. And then we'll show you some bullet seating as well. Can you guys see all that? Yeah, looks like you can. Good enough I can do right now. Alright, let's get this trickled up. Gotta love H4350. Doesn't meter the best. You gotta cut a couple grains here and there on the trickler or powder dispensers, but I'll tell you, it's apparently king for 6.5. Now I wonder if it's all 6.5 or if it's just Creedmoor, because I agree, it definitely works incredible on Creedmoor. And I have noticed that's the next powder I want to try on Creedmoor is 6.5 stable. Because man, it looks, from doing research on YouTube, it looks like it's damn close to H4350. Alright, that looks about right there. Let's see what she checks out to be on the scale. 40.2, which is about usually right. When this balance beam is right on the notch, Frankfurt Arsenal usually reads about 1 to 2 grain over, usually 1. So I'm gonna knock 1 grain out of here. Sorry, not 1 grain. Sometimes I say that, guys. 1 kernel out of there. So that's what I'm looking for on the Frankfurt Arsenal is 40.1. This balance beam right at even reads, you know, 40 grains on the balance beam is usually about 1 grain over on the Frankfurt Arsenal scale. Alright. And that's been pretty consistent across the board so far. Eventually I'm going to try and get a better scale. See if I can't get a nice set of triple beams or a set of 510.5s or 555s or something. We'll see. Now, powder capacity in the case. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you guys this or not. Oh, it's in there somewhere. I don't know if that's coming through or not, but it's about, oh, I'd say just below, so right about there where the tip of my nail is. So it's actually not bad. I would say probably 90% full at this starting charge. So our end charge is actually going to be really good. At 42.4. And I'm kind of hoping we start finding pressure on towards the end of this. I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna do a couple cases up to 43 as well, just single cases. Like I was saying earlier on my pressure test, I ended at like 42 something. Was it 42.4 actually? I might be ending where I ended on my pressure test. Yes, I am. So 42.4 is where I ended on my pressure test. So yeah. So I may do a couple single loads past 42.4 just to see. Oh, let's see here. So this Lee scale ain't bad. I don't mind it. There's, like I said, the first couple things I said right from the get-go I don't like, kind of ends up being a flaw to it, which is basically the notch on the base of the scale is nice and fine, but the plastic notch on the actual tilting part of the scale is just a big plastic arrow, basically. There's such wiggle room for that that it just kind of defeats the purpose. Now I can get a consistent read out of this, like you see again, 40.1. Oh, I'm a dumbass. Did not move my powder funnel. I couldn't double charge on these even if I wanted to, but it's always good to get in the habit I'm moving that funnel. Boy, those bullets look good on that. Wow, that looks awesome. Alright, so that's it for 40. Move my funnel, cap the bullet, and we're good. Look at that bullet. Oh, that looks great out of there. That's such a big bullet. For a 264 diameter bullet, man, these look really big. And they're nice and long. I like how the ogive is kind of like a blunt ogive. It's not long and it is a long bullet, but the ogive isn't sleek like some of the Hornady's. It just looks like a nice bullet. Alright guys, I'm going to probably get the rest of these done. That way I can get it done a little quicker. And bring you guys back for seating. Alright guys, see you in the next step. Alright guys, we're on our next step, which is seating these damn bullets. This should go pretty quick. I'll show you a few of them, but should go quick because they're all 20 thousandths, and as long as your bullet's ogive is consistent, then you shouldn't have to be messing around with the die too much. So to start off, just back your seating stem all the way out, get your calipers, get them zeroed on your bullet comparator, and start seating these. So now I'm going for 20 thousandths off. So touching the lands is 2.267. So 20 thousandths off is 2.247. So we're looking for 2.247. Alright, so it barely touched, so I'm going to go down a little bit. There we go. Actually, I'm going to go down a little more because I know I'm going to need a lot more than what we're doing here. But I always try and be careful because I always overshoot it. Alright, so 2.395, can you see that? Yeah, it looks like you can. Alright, so 2.395. So we're looking for 247. So let's do half turn. 2.364. Another 3/4 turn. 2.327. We'll do another 3/4 turn. And now I'll start going a little bit smaller turns here. So that's 2.290. So 90, 89, 8, 87, 64, 83, 82, 81, 80. So that should be 260 right around. Alright, so there's 254. So we're looking for 247. 3, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48, 47. Let's try that. .248. So let's go down one more thousandths. That's putting a little ring around the bullet, but it's not an indent. It's just I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but a little ring down there. Alright, that should be 2.247. Alright, 475. I'm happy with that. Let's seat a few more, see what they're at. .247, right on the money. Let's seat another one. 2.248. Go ahead and come down just a smidgen, that way we can all get them either a hair under or just a hair over. Yeah, 2.2465. Alright, so good enough. Perfect. Actually, I'd rather be a hair over than a hair under, to be honest, so I'll come back out just a little bit. To be honest, once I know they're starting to be consistent, I'm just going to run them all through. I'm not one that's going to tinker with the top every single time. So yeah, 248, 2475. So yeah, that's good. So I'm going to measure one more. I'm going to measure one more, and then this one turns out good. Well, this one ain't way off, then I'm just going to roll with this setting. 2.2475. That's perfect. Alright, so I'm going to roll with the setting. Just oh, by the way, also, so I made two fouling shots for this shooting session, and both my foulers are the pressure test loads. So I loaded two, and as you guys, like I've said before, I ended off at I ended off at 42.4. So my first fouler will be 42.7. If I start getting pressure signs, then I'm not going to shoot the second one, but at least one. I always shoot just one fouler anyways normally. So if 42.7 doesn't give me pressure signs, then I'll shoot the 43 even. And if I still don't get pressure signs, I'm done. Oh, also, chronograph came in, so we'll know what the velocities are on that anyways. So if I'm pushing, see, that's one thing I'm not sure of, is what exact safe velocities are for 6.5 Creedmoor. I know, I think 2800, 2700, somewhere around there is, I think, considered top 29. I know it don't get to 3000. I'm not saying nobody has, but I think I've seen Johnny's reloading bench use a certain powder to get Creedmoor up to 3000. But yeah, no, I think 28, 27, 50, 27 to 28 I think is the top for 6.5 Creedmoor. So we'll see. If I shoot 42.7 and I'm not seeing pressure signs, but the chronograph is showing, 2800 and above, then I may not even shoot the 43 grains anyway. So yeah, I got the chronograph, so we're good to go. And yeah, that'll be good to have all those numbers. All right, I will see you guys out on the range. I'll get the rest of these seated, and we'll be good to go.